Let's take a few minutes and kind of go over an overview of the logger and its file structure and the tool that you're going to use to configure it. This is the file structure that's in the root directory. In the root we have a file called tool. That's the actual file you're going to click on to start the configuration tool. We have another file that is necessary to be there. We have a folder called system. We have a folder called old data, a folder called help, a folder called firmware, a folder called data, and a folder called configs. Well, let's go over these for a minute. Basically, you're going to use the tool to configure the logger. And what you're doing is you're creating a configuration file so when the logger boots up in logger mode, it knows what you want it to do. That's called a config. In the data directory, we're going to place a file called the config. There you see it. There's an old config from prior testing. That file has to be there, and that's where the logger looks for it, so it knows what you want the logger to do and how you want it to perform. But let's say you go and you change that configuration to do something else. We automatically take that file that's in there called config and we put it in the folder called configs. And you can see them there. Now, the default name was config, or something to that matter, and I've saved some in here called oil well and different things like that. They're saved in there for me so that in the future I can recall them. Now, the actual file needs to be in here originally so the logger knows how to run. You don't have to worry about it. The tool puts it in there for you. Don't worry about it. This was also the folder, the data folder is also the folder that you will go into to get your CSV files, your actual log files. You're going to find them in here. So that's what the data folder does. The data folder holds the configuration for the present logger, how you want it to log. At this moment, what is the configuration that you want it to do? It also holds all of your CSV files. And you can take and cut and paste them off that folder. You can do what you want. They're there for you to use. You can take them and copy and paste them, cut and paste them, whatever. Next, I told you this is where we're going to hold other configs. So we make a backup copy of the config so that in the future, when you open a tool, you could go here and open up an old config if you wanted to. We store them there. We also allow you to store them on your hard drive with the tool. Next thing is firmware. In this folder is a firmware file. In the future, if we make enhancements to the product, you'll be able to go to the Automation Direct website and download a firmware file. You will put that file in this folder, overwriting this file that's here. And then all you have to do is cycle the power on the logger, and the logger updates the firmware to the new operating system and such, so you get the new features. So if we make enhancements in it in the future, for new features in it, you will download a firmware file, you'll put it into this folder, you'll cycle power, and the logger's updated. Help. In the help directory, help folder is the help file. Also, the videos. The videos you're watching, they're in the help folder. So you could literally go in there and take all the videos and copy them to your C drive if you want, so you can run them off your C drive. You can do that. That would free up some space on your logger for more data. Old data. What we do with this logger is every time you run the tool and you reconfigure it, we take anything that's in the data directory, the data folder. In other words, the old configuration and all the CSV files, if they're in there, and we zip them up and we put them into old data with a file name of that date. So when you go and you reconfigure the logger, automatically we back up whatever was in the data folder to the old data directory or folder. System. In the system folder are a bunch of files that need to be there to run the system. Don't tinker with it. Just leave it be. There's no reason for anybody to go in there, but that's what it's for. So here we got the configs. These are old configuration settings that you can, these are what are called XML files. You can open them with the tool. So we save a copy to the logger. We also let you save a copy to your hard drive. The data folder, where you go in and you find all of your data, and also the present configuration. The firmware, to update the firmware if we have enhancements in the future. The help folder with the help file and also all the videos. And old data. These are old files and configurations that were put here when we reconfigured the logger previously. That gives you an overview of the actual file structure.